I'd like to call this meeting of the Zion City Council to order. Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Deteen? Here. Commissioner McKinney?
Here. Commissioner
McDowell?
Here.
Commissioner Fisher?
Here.
Mayor Hill?
Here. Pastor Dalton?
All right, let's pray. Father, we thank you for this evening, the opportunity to come together in a civilized society in a place like this in peace and safety. It's a grace. Help us not to forget this. So to this end, Father, we recognize that this world is yours. It belongs to you, the fullness thereof, the world and all of the people in it. And so we ask that you give us wisdom, power, and your Spirit. Wisdom to this board, its leadership, to its judges, that this community may administrate justice and its resources in a way that brings you glory. We pray for power, for strength, for those who lead law enforcement and protect us. And we pray for a moving of your Spirit among the churches, that they may carry the banners of hope, love, and faith throughout this community. Help us to be good stewards of all the gifts that you have given us. We pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor. Please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item number 4 on the agenda are agenda changes. Do any of the commissioners have agenda changes? Hearing none, is there a motion to accept the agenda as presented? So moved. A motion?
Second.
And a second. Any discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Deteen?
Aye.
Commissioner McKinney?
Aye.
Commissioner McDowell?
Aye.
Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Mayor Hill?
Aye. Item number 5 is citizens' comments. We have no one has signed up to speak during citizens' comments, but I've decided that since I am the mayor, it presents me with an opportunity, whether you agree with me or not, to speak my mind about some issues that are facing our country, and I'm choosing to do that tonight very deeply. We read on, I'm speaking, obviously, I think everybody knows I'm speaking about what's happened in Florida, and I hear and I see it on social media that we do need to send our thoughts and prayers with the people who are down there. And I think that that's very, very important. But I think that we as a country have to do something else. We have to do more. I think and from my perspective, we have to find out why this is happening. And David Ratliff may have a theory that it's mental health. Kathy may have the theory that it's guns. Dave might have the theory that it's family structure. Somebody else might think it's a bully culture that we have, or that, that we've taken God out of schools, or it's the video games. But what we know right now is that these are all guesses. And it behooves our government, our Congress, to find out why this is happening. We can't solve the problems. Each of these things that I've just listed, we could solve that problem. We can solve mental health. We can, if it's mental health, we can solve that. If it's guns, we can solve that. If it's family structures, we can work to solve that. If it's a bully culture, we can work to solve that. If it's got out of schools, we can work to solve that. Or if it's video games, we can work to solve that. But right now, nobody seems to care why this is happening, or nobody cares enough to undertake a bipartisan national study on why this is happening. We've gone to the moon. I mean, we've cured polio. We've led the world in technology. We can find out if there is the will and the determination by our Congress. And the only way they're going to get this, I guarantee it, is from it coming from us. If someone entered Congress and shot 17 people, you know something would have been done. And it would have been done the next day. And we have to have that determination for this. So I'm going to ask that everybody send prayers and thoughts. Truly, send a prayer to somebody down in Florida and tell them the way you feel and tell them what your wishes are. And when you do that, send a copy to our representatives in Congress and say, this is what I sent to Florida. Now, will you please do something about it? That's it. And I'm not saying it's guns. I'm not saying it's mental health. I'm just saying we have to find out why. Because all we're doing right now is, at best, guessing and doing this thing to each other. We have to find out what's doing it. That's my citizen comment. Item number 6 is the consent agenda. Would the clerk please read the consent agenda?
Approval of minutes held on February 6, 2018 at 7 p.m. Bills, vouchers 128477 through 128569, drawn on Huntington National Bank. Total $365,199.21.
Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll move to approve the consent agenda.
We have a motion. Is there a second? We have a second. Is there discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Deteen?
Aye.
Commissioner McKinney?
Aye.
Commissioner McDowell?
Aye.
Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Mayor Hill?
Aye. Item 7 is consider passing ordinances as follows. Item 7A is abating the tax heretofore levied for the year 2017 to pay the principal and interest on $2,500,000 taxable general obligation bond, alternate revenue source, series 2012 of the City of Zion, Lake County, Illinois, per Administrator Nabel. And I would ask Mr. Nabel if you would explain what abating the taxes means and why we do it.
Absolutely. We've got 5 of these in a row here, so we'll knock them out back to back, but the overall premise on all of them is when we issue these bonds, we have basically as collateral to the people that are financing and giving us these proceeds, we offer up taxing authority to say, well, what we're doing first is we're pledging a revenue source, whether it be sales tax, TIF taxes, motor fuel taxes, to say we're going to collect these revenues and they'll be enough to pay you back the bonds. So, but in case they aren't, they want collateral saying if you don't collect enough money that you will levy taxes to make up the difference. So what happens is every year, December of every year, I have to put aside the money that's collected that was pledged on these into an account for the next year's debt payments. Once that's done, I come to the council and I say, we don't need to levy these taxes, so we're abating them. They're not included in the original tax levy, and we're not adding any additional taxes to pay for these debt service. The other revenue streams were sufficient and already set aside to cover this, so now we can tell the bonding companies, we don't have to levy additional taxes, your collateral is covered by having the money aside. So that's what each of these is for, is saying we don't need to levy any more taxes because the money's already been set aside for the 2018 bond payments on these bonds.
And just in case someone does not understand, a bond is a loan from a bank for us to do a street project or a water project or whatever, and then it's paid back over time. Any questions from the commissioners? Is there a motion to abate?
So moved.
The one I just read.
$460,100?
No, $2.5 million.
Oh, the whole thing?
Yeah,
Oh, that's just the first one.
that's the first one.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Deteen?
Aye.
Commissioner McKinney?
Aye.
Commissioner McDowell?
Aye.
Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Mayor Hill?
Aye. Item 7B is abating the tax heretofore levied for the year 2017 to pay the principal and interest on $2,160,000 general obligation refunding bond series 212B Combined Zion Energy LLC agreement fees and motor fuel tax receipts alternate revenue source of the City of Zion, Lake County, Illinois, per Director Nabel. Same issue. Is there a motion?
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. Is there discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Deteen?
Aye.
Commissioner McKinney?
Aye.
Commissioner McDowell?
Aye.
Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Mayor Hill?
Aye. Item 7C is abating the tax heretofore levied for the year 2017 to pay the principal and interest on $1,460,000 general obligation refunding bond series 2012C Combined Zion Energy LLC agreement fees and motor fuel tax receipts alternate revenue source of the City of Zion, Lake County, Illinois, per Director Nabel. Is there a motion?
I'll move to approve this abatement.
We have a motion? And a second. Is there discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Deteen?
Aye.
Commissioner McKinney?
Aye.
Commissioner McDowell?
Aye.
Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Mayor Hill?
Aye. Item 7D is abating the tax heretofore levied for the year 2017 to pay the principal and interest of $1,230,000 taxable general obligation bonds, Area 3 South Sheridan Road Special Tax Allocation Fund, alternate revenue source, Series 2013 of the City of Zion, Lake County, Illinois, per Administrator Nabel. Is there a motion?
So moved.
A motion and a second. Is there discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Deteen?
Aye.
Commissioner McKinney?
Aye.
Commissioner McDowell?
Aye.
Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Mayor Hill?
Aye. Item 7E is abating the tax heretofore levied for the year 2017 to pay the principal of and interest on $1,175,000 general obligation refunding bonds, Waterworks and Sewage System ARS Series 2015 of the City of Zion, Lake County, Illinois, per Director Nabel. Is there a motion?
So moved.
A motion?
Second.
A second. Is there discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Deteen?
Aye.
Commissioner McKinney?
Aye.
Commissioner McDowell?
Aye.
Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Mayor Hill?
Aye. Item 7F is regarding the disposition of surplus property for Director Colangelo.
Excuse me, thank you, Your Honor. I have met with supervisory staff, and we've determined that several vehicles and pieces of equipment stored out at Public Works are no longer needed and should be declared as surplus. Staff requests and recommends that the attached list of vehicles and equipment be declared surplus and that we be allowed to advertise for bids for the purpose of their sale. All vehicles and equipment will be sold as is, and minimum bid prices will be determined by staff and the city administrator.
A motion?
I'll move to approve this disposition of surplus vehicles and equipment.
Have a motion and a second. Is there discussion?
Just curious, what's the cable car concept vehicle?
That is the trolley.
That's what I thought. I'd like trolley.
We're getting rid of a lot of vehicles here.
Yes.
Are we replacing them with vehicles this year?
Some of them have already been replaced. The 5 of these have already been replaced. The other ones, one of them's not drivable, and a couple of them just been sitting out there for.
We're not going to have anybody walking.
Excuse me?
We're not going to have anybody walking.
No, not at all.
Just want to be sure.
That's never been a problem.
Be sure. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Further discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Deteen?
Aye.
Commissioner McKinney?
Aye.
Commissioner McDowell?
Aye.
Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Mayor Hill?
Aye. Item 8 is discussion, authorization, and approval. Item 8A is discussion regarding the zinnia flower, it's a city flower. It says per Mayor Hill, but I'm going to give it to Supervisor Neal.
Good evening, everyone. I want to thank you for having the opportunity to come and present to you tonight. This idea actually came up back in 2004. I was driving the Park District bus, and I took a group of seniors to see Lilacs in Lombard. And I don't know about you, nothing against Lombard, Illinois, but I've never had a desire to go to Lombard. And when I went there to see the Lilacs, it changed how I felt about the community. And so driving home, I spent the entire bus ride trying to think of, well, if Zion had a flower, what could it be? So that night I went online and I started researching Z words, because if they did lilacs and Lombard, we needed to have a Z flower for Zion. And middle of the night I came across the zinnia, and I started doing the research on it, and what I found is that the zinnia comes in every size, from tiny to huge. And it comes in every color, except blue. And I thought it was kind of ironic because blue is a word that people use for depression and sadness, and that zinnias come in every other color. It just kind of made me chuckle at that. But the other thing that really set with me was that it reminded me of our community. You know, we're made up of a third Latino, a third African American, a third white, and then a mixture of all kinds of other people. And it reminded me of just an emblem of our community, the diversity in ours. I did more research and I found out that the zinnia actually represents joy. And you know, the one thing that we could plant in this community and in this country would be joy. We tend to focus on all the problems instead of what we have and the abundance that we have. And so the idea of planting zinnias as a symbol of the joy in our community spurred me on. And then recently I heard that, and sorry, Mayor, but anyway, I'll say it anyway, that flowers resonate at the same energy level as angels. And I thought, what a cool thing to provide our community by planting flowers all over the community to like raise the energy level in such a significant way if we could do it right.
I want to be sure that people understand that our discussion is about energy, it's not about angels.
Right.
And my definition of energy is E equals MC squared.
I'm not sure if there's ever been a study about that.
Yeah, it's E equals MC squared, and it's heat and it's, so, and Sherry has
But you're selling the zinnias, that's for sure.
Yes, I am. I love the zinnias. So, all of that said, the mayor knows I've been talking about this for a very, very long time. And it was this year that I realized that it was time to just see if there was interest. And I cannot even tell you how blown away I am at the interest. Put out an email for on Martin Luther King's birthday, and it happened to be very snowy that day, and had 8 people show up anyway to a meeting. I had one person that even got dropped off because she was determined to be at the meeting. And just so you know, Diane Pocky, she's already got the plan for writing Zion in zinnias in her yard this summer. Debbie, Diane was it's her sister. So we had the meeting, and there was a committee was immediately formed for people that want to harvest the seeds. Another group was going to work with the Park District for the planters along Emmaus and up Shiloh Boulevard. And we put together a plan, individuals committed to going to different businesses to see if they would be willing to grow zinnias. And I contacted Anton's Nursery, only because they're they do all of the flowers for the Park District and for the city already. So I thought the easiest, shortest connection would be to work with them. And Rick Anton was incredible, and he helped us after I met with Gail, one of the co-presidents of the Illinois Dunes and Garden Club, to try and figure out like how could we even do this. And she came up, she and April Myers helped come up with like some examples of what flowers we could work with Anton's. Then I worked with Rick and came up with 3 different kinds of zinnias as well as a companion plant, and put out order forms, and we ordered 223 flats of flowers. So all the taxing bodies, the Zion School District, they're going to do it, but they were already with another company, so they're going to go through them to get theirs. We have 5 churches, we have businesses, we have homeowners that all actually wrote a check and committed to having the zinnias, as well as Cancer Treatment Centers, who has another grower. They also agreed to grow zinnias this summer. And we're very excited with the project. Additionally, I reached out to seed companies, and I have 3 seed companies that are willing to send us their unsold inventory from the year before so that we can give out zinnia seeds in the community for people to be able to grow. So that's where that spurred to. And then from that, Chris Segrin, who is a RE/MAX realtor, and she does the planting of downtown Waukegan, their planters, she connected me with Cook Magnet School in Waukegan, who has a greenhouse. And we're looking for a project. So they've committed to growing 20 flats for us, and I will go there and do some work with the kids as far as like zinnias and what they mean and being a part of that. So they're willing to grow all of the flowers that will be going in the containers for the Park District. So
is there any grower in Zion?
What's that?
Is there any nursery or grower in Zion that could perhaps provide zinnias for us?
So if there was, I would assume the Park District and the city would be ordering from them. So I don't know of any.
Like Richard's Nursery, I mean, it's unincorporated Zion, but they have, I don't know if they stock zinnias or if they could order zinnias, but.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that might be something, if they're unincorporated Zion, so they're not Zion, correct?
Well, that's.
I'm just curious, just curious. So, okay, because, so all I know is that the reason that I went with Anton's is because that's who we already have contracts with. So I wanted to just make it the shortest. And Cook Magnet School is growing them as a school project, for free. So I'm guessing that we can't find cheaper than free with that. But if you come up with any resources,
I'll
I would
ask.
love to. Yes, absolutely. That would be incredible to have a partner in the community to be able to do the growing. So all of that said, let me just share with you, because I brought this up to the mayor officially. I brought it up to him for years and years and years, but officially I brought it up, and he came up with statements. They weren't actually questions, they were statements, and I've got them here
I
somewhere.
was gonna read those.
Oh, you want to?
No,
Okay.
you go ahead.
Oh, no,
that's
you go
fine,
ahead.
that's fine.
No, please, go ahead.
Well, I guess just for the sake, and I guess maybe this will be addressed, that people understand our difference in energy. I truly think this is a wonderful idea. My experience, unfortunately, working at the Park District and the city for many years, is that we start things, and then the people who start them 10 years down the road, for some reason it's not working anymore, and then people come to the city and ask the city to take care of it, and it puts the city in a financial bind. And I'm speaking particularly of Nostalgia Days and Jubilee Days.
Kringle's Kingdom.
I'm sorry?
And Kringle's Kingdom. That whole thing was that.
Well, Kringle's Kingdom was started by the city, so,
That's a good point.
but they run into difficulty. So I did ask Sherry. I said, I told her that there would not be any city staff time dedicated to this. There would not be any city money dedicated to this. And I asked that she make a commitment. How many years was it?
4.
I thought it was 4. It wasn't 4. I think I asked for a 10-year commitment from Sherry that if this is going to grow into something bigger than what you've just said, and I anticipate that it probably would. I think that there's a real potential for a flower festival. I just want to be sure from the start that people understand that this is not the city's mission. And I'm speaking from my position. These guys would have to, if they decide to do something different, it's a council decision. But so I asked her for a commitment that she would stay involved and not start it for 2 years and then say, okay, now I'm going to start a butterfly festival in
You know that's coming next.
So I believe those are the things that I wrote down.
So there were actually 3. So one of them was funds and staff time. And so what we're doing with all of the taxing bodies is that we're not asking anybody to do anything that they're not already doing.
Right.
So the city already planted flowers. So all we're doing is asking you to, instead of planting what you planted, plant zinnias.
Right.
And been working incredibly with Rich Ianson and Sally, who oversees the planting, to make sure that we have the right plants for that. So that has been really good. So the idea of like a flower festival, all that, that's what kept me from ever doing anything, because I can't commit to huge. But what we can commit to, and I think I've got enough people in the room that are here on behalf of it to say the same thing. We've got a few things that we want to see happen. And one is to have a yard contest and have a few prizes, as well as the library is committed to doing a photo contest. And the Illinois Dunes and Garden Club has committed to providing the prizes for both of those as well. So having those as the primaries, and one of the things that we'd like to ask the city and everybody is that if we do this, when the opportunity arises, I'm working with another incredible new tech. Her name is Cassidy Bruce. She lives in Zion, and she's a junior, and she is an intern doing the marketing for it, and she's designing a logo, and so that some of the marketing to be willing to own it. To have it on the website that it's the zinnia, if it's a page or whatever, and be willing to promote it, so that a couple years from now, when people think of Zion, they don't think of all of the other things that they think of Zion. They think about zinnias. That's our goal.
And I think that's great. I truly think it's great. I do.
We love it.
I do. I love it too. I do. Council members, commissioners, comments?
How could you vote against zinnias?
I'm not voting against zinnias. I'm not voting against zinnias.
He votes against energy. Any other comments?
Okay, we have a motion and a second? And do we have anything?
We have a
Okay. Is there a motion to?
Wait, hold
All right.
on, 1 second. Is there anybody else that wants to speak? What's that?
And bees, bees. And bees are endangered.
And we do have the ZB. Anybody else have any comments they want to throw out about it? Hello, County Board Member Brent Baxter. You don't have a joke about it?
They're a very incredible flower to grow, and so easy. Somebody can drop a seed in the ground, and 7 days later, that plant is up. And like you told Sherry, all it takes is a picture of that plant, what it looks like when it first germinates. It's a wonderful picking flower. It holds up in the vase for so many days, 12 to 14 days. Nursing homes, I deliver a lot of zinnias to nursing homes. In those residents, just love it. The beautiful colors. And then I know we're gonna mix with a mixer plant is plant the Victoria Salvia, which is a very vivid blue flower, which will pop all your zinnias in the area. I do think you'll be pleased with the orders that have been placed through Anton's. And like Sherry said, Anton's was the one that always did our ordering for Zion. So that's why she went with Anton's.
Okay. I guess, is there a motion to name the zinnia the official flower of Zion, and then we'll come up with a resolution at the, you're not here at the next meeting?
March 20th?
At the March 20th meeting, we'll have a resolution so designating it.
I'll move to adopt the zinnia as the city flower of Zion.
We have a motion and a second. Is there discussion? Further discussion?
Can't wait to see him in my yard.
I just don't know about the angel flower comparison. I'm just not quite sure about that.
I'm going to see if I can find the research on it for you.
I do know what angels are capable of in the Bible, and there's quite a bit of energy there. So.
There is, and this community can use it.
What kind of energy are you talking about?
Well, destroying cities, making people blind, you know, those kinds
That's
of
all
things.
heat.
Yeah.
Healing people.
That's all heat.
Healing
That's
people.
E equals MC squared. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there further discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Deteen? Aye. Commissioner McKinney?
Aye.
Commissioner McDowell?
Aye.
Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Mayor Hill?
Aye.
Thank you so
Thank you,
very much.
Sherry, and thank you all for being supportive of the idea. Item 8B is consider proposal from Deegan and Associates for engineering services for the closed Zion landfill per Director Colangelo.
Thank you, Your Honor. In your packet is a quote from our environmental consultant for engineering services for our closed landfill. Groundwater analysis, inspection, and quarterly reporting to the IPA is required as part of our post-closure permit. We also have not to exceed proposals of $5,000 for a gas vent improvement since we increased the cap on landfill number 1, and a not to exceed proposal of $10,000 for post-closure permit modification to further reduce the number of groundwater monitoring wells. The well locations and estimated cost savings, if successful, are attached. Staff requests and recommends approval of the quote for these services from Deegan and Associates of Libertyville, Illinois, in the amount of $57,500. This contract is for the next fiscal year and will be a budgeted item in the waste fund.
Is there a motion?
I'll move to approve the proposal.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there discussion?
Ron, so the estimated savings on this, anywhere, there's a range, it depends, $45,000 to $75,000.
Over the next 3 to 5 years, we did this once in the past where we had some of the wells go from quarterly sampling to semi-annual. And when we did that back in 2012, our cost went down $4,000 a year. So now we're trying to get some of these eliminated because it's redundancy is what it is.
Okay. So it's definitely worth the investment.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's never a guarantee, but we were successful last time, so we feel we got
Feel
to,
pretty
and with the
confident.
solar project coming in there and everything else, we think now's the time to do it.
So we have a $42,500 lump sum on the, most of it looks like it's monitoring and groundwater and things like that.
That's our annual, yes, sir.
Okay, and then $5,000 for gas vending improvements and $10,000 for modifying technical justification for reducing the overall groundwater testing plan with IEPA approval. And that in the 42 equals that's the 57,500.
Right, and those extras are not to exceed, so they could come in lower than that.
Okay, now, I know that this is probably not a fair question, but if we go with this contract and we spend the $57,000 with the assumption that we're going to see savings because we're not going to have to monitor as many wells, I'm assuming that that's going to have EPA approval.
That's, so, yeah, the $10,000 portion is EPA approval. The gas vent improvements, which we need to do because we put an extra 5 or 6 feet, that's enough to exceed for 5. That has not, that's just something we do on our end to make it more efficient.
Right.
To relieve the pressure on the landfill itself.
Right.
The 10,000 that's in question, the not to exceed 10,000, that is direct. It's an application and it's a justification that is sent to the IEPA to abandon the ones on the map. The 4 that we're looking to abandon.
Okay.
Because they're down. Basically, what they are is they're considered a down gradient. So you're already collecting samples before it gets to that point already, and the consultant feels that we could show that these are redundant, and then when you eliminate those, then that's less analysis that you have to do with the labs and everything else.
Right, and one of the things that I like about this is that assuming the IEPA mandates groundwater sampling for the next 3 to 5 years, it's an overall savings of $45,000 to $75,000 on monitoring the groundwater wells. But if we take those out, that's where the savings is, correct? 45 to 75 on monitoring those specific wells that would be removed or not monitored.
Yes, and it's successful, and we always figure that worst case scenario, we're going to get half of it. You know, if you ask for this, you get up with half.
Right, and I guess my question is, and it's probably an unfair question, is what if the EPA does not allow us to not monitor those wells anymore? So we won't see that savings.
We would not know. You are taking a chance at not to exceed 10,000. But the other part of the thing that's factored into this is if we are successful, you get the cost savings, but when you're lowering the amount of testing that you're doing, the long range goal is to shorten the post-closure period.
Right, and
to eliminate it, to get closer to closing the thing out once and for all, because it has been nothing but a money pit to the city since it closed.
Okay, and the map that I'm looking at here, Ron, is it, okay, it's landfill 1 was the old hill, landfill 2 is the flat area?
Yeah, and these are all on the perimeter of the flat area.
Okay, and is there...
Well, except for the one.
Is the... Are you confident that the EPA would, if we would abandon these wells, this would have no impact on the residents that are, according to this, we're looking at one here and we're looking at one here. I think we have residents right here, don't we?
Right.
So how are we going to tell if there's anything going towards those residents if we...
Because you're picking it upgrade anyways. The level, because what they're telling us is on all the other wells that we've tested that are upgrading, your exceedances aren't any different on the lower end. You follow what I'm saying? You're getting the same sampling going. You're picking up the same results there as you are throughout the rest of the landfill.
Okay.
And I believe, I don't know if any, there might be maybe 1 or 2 unincorporated areas that may be on a well. Everybody else in that area is all on city water. So it's not like you're...
Where would there be a well out there?
Well, there's that little area, and I think it's all abandoned anyways, off of Ravine Drive and Gilead. Looks like a little old compound out there.
Okay, all right, I know what you mean.
But I believe all those houses are abandoned.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Deteen?
Aye.
Commissioner McKinney?
Aye.
Commissioner McDowell?
Aye.
Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Mayor Hill?
Aye. Item 8C is consider approval of 2017-2018 project year hotel motel tax grant application for Premier Planning Partners, Inc., per Administrator Nabel.
Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. We received a grant application from Premier Planning Partners Incorporated on behalf of the USCA for dog show that will be coming to Zion again in 2018.
Would you want to explain USCA?
You're going to make me pronounce that, aren't you?
I can pronounce it for you, David.
I would appreciate that.
Yeah, it's United Schutzhund Clubs of America.
That's the one.
I know, because we train our dog Schutzhund.
And Schutzhund is a German Shepherd?
Well, Schutzhund is a method of training, yes, for German Shepherds.
Schutzhund is a method of training.
Yes. It can be other dogs, yes.
Well, I believe we have a representative here for questions. But
Really?
yes. So we can step forward. I'm sure she can explain it much better than I can.
Yeah, would you explain what's happening?
Schutzhund is a breed suitability standard. It's usually used for working dogs. So Schutzhund dogs that typically compete are your German Shepherds, Rottweilers, Malinois. Every once in a while you get a Labrador. There was a giant Schnauzer in a competition a couple weeks ago. But it's a breed suitability. So it's tracking work, it's protection work, it's an obedience work.
Okay, and what is happening here?
The Seeger show is coming back to Zion. We held it here in 2015, I want to say. And this show is all about German Shepherds. It's all Shepherds that come. It's puppies all the way up to the older working class dogs. And it is a measurement of their gait and protection abilities. So they go through some protection work. They go through gating, which is basically running around a ring so the judges can see their movement, how they stand, how they do stuff like that, and then they are ranked in the United States. The top dogs get to go on to compete in the World Championships, and like last year the World Championship was in the Netherlands, so we had a team from the U.S. go over there and compete over there for that.
And this is held every...
It's held every year.
Every other year in the United States?
It's held every year in the United States. Germany just decided this year that the United States can only hold one competition a year. So now it's going back and forth between two clubs hosting it each year. So
where's the other club?
They're also in the U.S. It's the German Shepherd Dog Club of America or something like that. So they are co-hosting.
And where's your organization from?
The United Schutzhund Clubs of America is based out of Missouri. They are my client. I work for them.
How did Zion get selected for this? How many people will be here?
Last year when we had 350 dogs attend, and there was over 800 people here over the weekend.
How did you select Zion?
Well, I'm from the area, so
Good for you.
So when in 2015 we kind of lost a hosting committee, and I said, you know what? I've worked with the Lake County Convention Bureau, and Teresa hooked me up with Sonalito, and I said, these people really, really want to put something together for us, and it went off really well. So when GSDCA had to host this year, they went, didn't that one in Zion go really well? Let's go use that location. So.
Great. That'll be in Shiloh Park?
Yes.
Any other questions? And thank you.
I already know more about this than probably I need to know, but because we had a dog that we trained in Schutzhund, and my wife spent many weekends.
Maybe you can
out.
enter the competition.
No, we're out of that now. But
thank you for your
I think
translation.
it'll be a very good event. So
yeah, it was a very good event last time.
Mm-hmm.
David, you want to continue now?
Sure.
I'm sorry.
So they're asking for a grant from the Hotel Motel Tax Fund for $10,000. This program was set up years ago to try and encourage events like this to come to Zion, to bring promotion, tourism dollars, to encourage overnight stays in the area. This is the exact type of event the program was created for. Brings in a lot of dollars from external, international exposure, things of that nature, overnight stays for people coming to the area, contracted through the organization. So we budgeted $34,000 within the fund for these grants. We awarded $31,000 prior to this. However, we only expect to spend $24,000. Other expenses came in under budget. But even if we go over there is a fund balance of about $150,000 in the hotel and motel tax fund that I would suggest that we would amend the budget for anything over that, because this is a very worthwhile event and really fits the criteria. And they need to do it now and can't wait for the window to open just due to timing of marketing and when the event's going to be going. So I would recommend approval of the grant in the amount of $10,000.
Is there a motion?
I'll move to approve the grant in the amount of $10,000.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
And a second. Is there discussion? Clerk, Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Deteen?
Aye.
Commissioner McKinney?
Aye.
Commissioner McDowell?
Aye.
Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Mayor Hill?
Aye. Item 9 is departmental commentary. Do any of the department heads have anything that they would like to share? Okay, item 10 is announcements. On March 6th at 7 p.m. there'll be a Zion City Council meeting. March 20th at 6:30 there'll be a Zion Township Board meeting, and at 7 o'clock there'll be a Zion City Council meeting, and I'm guessing that that's when the zinnia will be officially resolved to be the official flower of the city of Zion. On March 30th, the city offices will be closed for the holiday. And item number 11, we have a need for a closed session pursuant to 5 ILCS 120/2, open meetings for the discussion of collective bargaining. Is there a motion to go into closed session? A motion and a second. Is there discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Deteen?
Aye.
Commissioner McKinney?
Aye.
Commissioner McDowell?
Aye.
Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Mayor Hill?
Aye. Thank you all for, it should be neat. It'll be cool.